everybody, this is Clay again. Today we're going to fix some oil leaks. This is my 96 Land Cruiser. It's got the straight 6 in it, 24 valve stock engine that comes in them. But man, sometimes they get some leaks, and with about 180,000 miles on it, it has really developed a couple of leaks. I believe the first leak that I want to fix is on the shaft of the distributor here. It has a big O-ring that we're going to replace right where the shaft goes into the valve cover. Really is what it is. It's above the head and it's gear driven. So we're going to replace that, and then I'm going to replace the main front seal on the crank. I'm going to replace the oil cover O-ring as well. Those are the three things that are probably leaking on this thing quite a bit. And a lot of people shy away from this mod because because there's a lot of stuff to undo here to get this done. But a couple of things that I found that make this so much easier to work on are go ahead and remove your battery box and your battery. Also remove your fan shroud and your fan clutch. Because if you get all that out of the way, you'll gain about 7 to 8 inches right in here, and you can leave your radiator in. That way you're not breaking the water system open and having to catch all that liquid and put it all back in and check for leaks and everything. But if you take your battery box out, your battery itself, the fan shroud and the fan clutch, of course all the pulley here on the water pump is going to come off as well. The belts are going to come off, and like I said, the harmonic balancer has to come off also, which is the bottom pulleys. Now here's something you need to know. You're going to have to use some heavy equipment to get that crankshaft bolt off. It is a 30 millimeter bolt, and this is a 3/4 inch breaker bar, socket breaker bar. I got this at Harbor Freight for like 20 bucks. I got a set of sockets. These are impact grade sockets for I think 35 at Harbor Freight. And then I've got a torque wrench, also 3/4 size, to put the bolt back on, because you got to go about 312 foot-pounds to get that back on right. So the way I'm going to do this, and this is important, is I'm going to put this on that big bolt underneath there, and the breaker bar arm itself was going to try to come up around clockwise, because that's the way the engine runs. When you're looking at the front of it, it turns clockwise. But what I'm going to do is put it on that bolt and lash it to the passenger side frame rail with some rope. What I'm going to do then is go inside while my battery's still hooked up, and I'm going to bump the starter. And the starter is going to turn that engine clockwise. This is going to hold the bolt, which basically turns the bolt counterclockwise and pops it loose. To some people watching the video, this might seem like a crazy way to get that broke loose. But man, if you look online and like on I Hate Mud and Pirate 4x4 and all those places, many people use this method to break this bolt loose. It's really on there. If you use a 1/2 inch breaker bar, it'd probably break it. Several people showed pictures where they broke your 1/2 inch breaker bar. It's got to be pretty stout to take this torque. The other thing that you may be wondering is, well, how do we hold the engine still when we're re-torquing that bolt back up with a big old torque wrench? So I'll show you that part during the procedure, as well as we're going to take progressive videos as I go through this. But right now I'm going to get started. I'm going to take that little plate off that's right above the steering stabilizer. Alright, I've got a couple things removed now, and I think I can show you what I've got set up. So as redneck as this seems, there's my big 3/4 inch breaker bar, and it's on that big 30 millimeter nut right in here, and it's all the way down on it. You need to make sure it's completely down on there, and there's no way it can come off. Then if you follow the arm of the breaker bar down, I've got it lashed up here to the frame rail. So it's right on the frame rail up under here. The pressure is not going to be on this rope, by the way. The pressure is going to be up towards the frame rail. So there's the metal to metal contact right here is what we're going to have. We're not going to have it yanking on the rope, because that would just break the rope. But whenever I go turn this pulley is going to go this way, and that's going to hold the nut still, breaking it loose. So we're going to go give that a try. Again, you can see all the oil and stuff on the front of my engine here now that we've cleaned up a little bit. As far as removing the skid plate, we removed the front stabilizer arm right there. I just went ahead and took the bracket off and got it out of the way for video. Really helps with the video. It was in the way. And let me show you a few things up top too that I did. It really helped. Oh, while I'm down here, I actually loosened my alternator belt right here from underneath. You got to get that front screw, and then your whole alternator will swing when you loosen the top bolt. Also, for your air conditioning, this is the pulley right here. But you remember, you got to loosen the front bolt right here on the front to make it let go of it's pinched. And then this is just an adjuster to get your belt right, and then you would always tighten this back. So you start by loosening this, then you really don't have to do anything with this. It just lets it slide. I took all my belts off from down here once I had the fan off. The first thing you need to remember when you're about to do this is this right here. Show over here. See this this main wire on your distributor? You're going to take this off. Okay? So distributor's loose. It won't start. We're ready down here. Let's go ahead and get our view back. Stay back. Okay? There you go. All right. And we're going to go hit it. Well, our wrench is still on. I think it definitely turned. I felt the bump, so I think that did it. We're gonna get down here, and I'll see if I can turn it by hand now and get that off. So now I got this bolt loose. I'm just bringing it out by hand right here. I mean, it's hand loose after that engine spun over like that. So I'm gonna take that off. It's got a big washer, as you can see right there, and there's the bolt. So once that comes off, let's set that aside. Are you still filming? And this is gonna slide right off. See, watch this harmonic balancer pulley and all. See, it just comes right off. And we'll take a look at that, and I'll show you where the and you see this little area right here is right where that seal has been sealing on the inside or on the outside of this harmonic balancer and pulleys, obviously. But do you see right here, this is when they're talking online, there's a rubber separator right here that basically separates this pulley mechanism with all of this weight. And all of this weight on here, you can see it on the outside, is to counterbalance, and they put drills in it. They drilled holes here to get this thing completely balanced so that when this keyway is in the right spot on that shaft and that engine's going through its revolutions, this is actually balancing out it's going opposite of whatever the engine's trying to do, and it basically balances out, and that's how they balance an engine. So you don't want to break this rubber. Well, when people are holding this with a big band wrench, and they're holding on right here on this, and then they're cranking that big bolt, people are saying you might twist that rubber right there and break your harmonic balancer. So that's why some people don't like to use the method where they grip on the outside of this and hold it whenever they're tightening their bolt back up. Here's just a picture of the inside of this where that big washer sets. And the keyway is captured between the washer, and on this side there is a flange that this goes all the way up against inside on the crank. So the key is locked. We're going to get back after it. I think the next thing we're going to do is take our battery box out, our battery out, and then we're going to take the distributor out and change that O-ring first. Then we'll go for the front crank seal and the oil pump cover O-ring. This is one of the new bolts right here that I got from the Toyota dealership, and it's a number 3 Phillips, and this fits in it really well. And this is just the one that came with this little ratchet. But the key is, see how that's in there so good it won't even come off? The key is you want these flutes on this, the flat parts of these flutes, to be pushing when you turn out. You don't want to be in here where this angle is, because it'll try to cam out on you. It'll try to come out as you turn. So we're going to get this deep in here, and in order to do that, what I did was, hold tight. Also, at Harbor Freight, I mean, it's going to be your friend, these little cheap Pittsburgh tools. I got a series of picks, and I'm going to take these picks, and on those old screws that are in there on the engine, I can get up in there and work and just get every one of these little grooves all cleaned out really good with these picks. And that's how I'm going to get that bit to fit down in there really good and deep. This is the O-ring. These are both O-rings. This is the O-ring that's going to go behind the distributor. You see that? We got enough light. So it's a thick, fat O-ring. And then this is the O-ring, if you can see it right here, that goes behind the oil cover seal. So that's what you're going to be replacing. Alright, now let's look at the engine one more time. I want to show you. So now that we've got the harmonic balancer and the pulleys off, I'm going to show you. These are where your 7 bolts are. So if you hadn't got into this job yet and you're just wondering, where is this thing? This thing right here is your oil pump cover. There's an oil pump that's driven inside here. It has 2 concentric lobing, 5-lobe type. It's a pump. It's a really cool pump. You can read up on it, how they did it. And it's held, this cover is held on here with 7 of those Phillips screws. And those are the ones that people have so much trouble with. They strip them out when they try to back them out of here. But I'm going to get after those here in just a minute. And, you know, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm going to try to film breaking a couple of these loose so you can see that. Looking right here, you can see how much oil is right here on the bottom of this oil galley. That's all coming from the bottom side of this oil front cover. You can see how nasty that is. So it has dripped and just covered the bottom of my whole Land Cruiser. Is just coated with oil. I was losing about a quart every oil change, and I change about every 35 to 4,000 miles. So that's the rate I'm kind of not tolerating it anymore. This is the, if you can see, it's kind of hard to see, hard to get the camera in here and get a good angle on this, but basically around this crankshaft is the other front engine seal that we're going to change. It's right here. It's hard to tell because it's all the same color when it's nasty like this, but we'll pull this one out, we'll press a new one in and move forward. Now, I just want to show you why I like to remove the battery box of the battery. It's not that hard to get it out of the way, but look, I mean, just even getting a Phillips in here to get these screws off, and there's 3 of them around it, are going to be very hard. And then, of course, pulling this whole shaft out and watching how it turns and everything so you can get it back in correctly, it's just so much easier with the battery box out. So, and then again, the 10 millimeter, I always remove the ground of a battery first. And the reason why is because everything is grounded, and so if you're messing with the positive cable and you touch anything with your wrench, it's gonna arc and mess up, and it could even start a fire if you've got some kind of flammable liquid up here. You got gas everywhere, you got oil everywhere. So I always get your negative off first, because that's what most everything around is. And then all you got to do is avoid the positive terminal while you're getting this negative. So I get my negative terminal off. I just think it's neat. I can do everything pretty much with a 10. And then see, if I would touch right here, it's the same thing. So there's no spark, right? So loosen this up, wiggle it off. Now basically I've disconnected the battery, and what you want to do is feed these wires back through these little grommets, because the reason why is because you're gonna pull your battery box, and when you do, you don't want these wires hanging you up. So you're gonna put these out the back like that. Careful not to scratch your dang paint like I was almost doing. Leave that there, keep that screw, and come over here. Now basically the battery itself is the only thing that could short together. So I'm loosening up my positive terminal. And guys, if y'all know all this, just don't think I'm talking down to you, but you know, I've always found that when I watch another mechanic, I learn a lot of other things from them that, you know, wow, that's cool how they did that. You know, I didn't even know you could do that type thing. And so I wanted to, you know, maybe you guys will see something you don't know. So the battery's out now. Set it down. And in the battery box, like I said, was a socket with just a bunch of 14s. So we'll start working on that. There's a couple, actually there are 12s. But see that? Now your battery box is out. And look at the room now. I mean, we'll be able to take this distributor cap off. We'll be able to pull that distributor, rotate it, and get it back in correctly. There's a procedure for that. And I'm going to change positions with the cameraman. So he's sitting over here looking at this when I do the work. And you'll see what we're talking about by keeping the rotor in there marked, so that as you go back, you don't have to reset your timing. The distributor cap's ready to come off. I've got my main coil wire off. I'm going to leave all my other wires on, and I'm just going to rotate this distributor cap up out of the way. And I'm going to show you a couple things. When you're doing this, good idea to kind of check in here. I think this is a fairly new one, but did you see that those deposits on there? We'll clean those up with a little scraper, and then I'm going to replace my my rotor. Starting to go boom, and then starting up. Could be that your rotors wore down, your plugs could be bad and have too big a gap on them. But those are two things that'll make it have to sit there and spark a few more times before it really start your car. So check those. Now, looking inside here, if you can see inside the distributor, there's no oil inside, and that's very, very good, because we're not getting any leaking through the shaft itself of the distributor. We're going to mark the position of the rotor dead center over here on the base of the distributor base. Right here, I'm going to make a mark. The reason why is because we're on a worm gear. This is on a worm gear, and when I come out, this is going to rotate. And hopefully you're getting that on camera. When I pull this whole base out, this rotor is going to rotate coming out of that worm gear. And when it does, when I go back in, I've got to start with the rotor, let's say over here in this position, and then I want it to return it. When I'm all down here and my lines are lined up over here, I want this rotor to be in this exact same position. That way I don't have to set the timing and I'm not off by one cylinder. And then now we're going to pull it out, and I'm going to show you how it's going to rotate because of the worm gear. Do you see it turn? See it turn all the way to here? So when we go back in, I'm going to just go back in now. See it turn? This? So now we know we got to start basically with it in this position, which is right between the black and right between the screw. Okay? That's where we're going to start with it. And the worm gear inside here, see? That's why it turns when you push it in, because the gear on the other side is staying stationary, and then this is rotating and going and engaging into the gear. Here's the O-ring that's leaking right there. And if you look on the bottom of the distributor, can you see how much oil's been leaking off the bottom of that? And just completely dripping down on my belts. So that's the distributor right there. And you hear somebody talk about the distributor. The screws. When I reached underneath it right here to get it to come up, it just broke. I mean, that right there just shows you. I mean, the heat and the years on this thing are just keeping it from doing any kind of good sealing. I mean, it's basically flat. Also, the profile right here on the top of it's just flat. And I mean, you can't expect a piece of rubber to stay in a hot engine for 15 to 16 years and perform. I mean, it's long past. That's probably the original. You know, hats off to Toyota for figuring out all these cool things, and you know, their engines put together different than any one of the American engines I've ever worked on. You know, I've never seen this kind of stuff. When the distributor's hanging on the side of the motor, you know, you got to think about, how am I going to seal this? You know. Also, right there, I don't know if you saw that, but the way that the shaft of this is continuously oiled is it's got a hole on both sides here, and oil is just bathing everything inside the tappet cover there. So it's going in here and it's bathing this this shaft while it's turning. But right inside this part of the distributor is a seal. If that seal goes out, oil will go in here, get in there with the shaft, but then you'll start seeing oil on the inside. And that's what I was mentioning at the very beginning. There's no oil on the inside. That's good. Our seal is still good on the shaft. So now that that's off, we'll clean that little groove a little bit, and we'll go back in with the new one. All right, we're gonna go back in. We got the new O-ring on it there. You can see that. Cleaned it up a little bit. I'm not doing like a super job. This isn't a show truck or anything. I'm gonna get this started into the area where the distributor goes, and then I feel that gear engaging right there. I just want to make sure it's right where between this, and this is at the same height I had it. So I think that might be the groove. Let's see. We're gonna go all the way in. And I'm going to line up
I'm gonna line up the back scratch that I made on here. Can't see it. It's right there. And then is that lined up with that mark? Yep. So back in. And we're going to put our bolt back in. It holds the distributor. All right. We got that on. Pull it off. Like that. Put a new one on while we're in here. Make sure it's down. Looks good. There's actually a little file that does this pretty good, but see it? See those little pieces of stuff that are coming off? Those will keep it from getting a good spark to your, hurt your gas mileage too. But primarily you're going to notice it not starting as quick. So now I'm going to go back underneath my throttle cable. I'm going to go on my screws, so in the screws. Back in place like that. Tighten these back down. And that's that. This is an easy mod right here. And with, especially with the battery box out of here, oh my goodness. Look how easy that is. I mean, you can just get to this stuff and pull it out, swing around, look dead on it, you know, like this, and see it really well. So you know if you're Alright everybody, this is the procedure that is outlined on I Hate Mud. See this bit? Can you see that? That's a number 3 bit. It's the one I described earlier in the video. And here's what you do. So I clean out the little Phillips head on these screws, and then you basically get your bit in there. Okay. Now watch this. As you take I'm just taking a small ball peen. I'm hitting it like 20 times. Watch. It's like wiggling way down in the hole. You can even see like oil and stuff coming out. And I mean, I'm driving it just a little pack. There goes one of the screws I already had out. And then I was taking this little wrench. Can you still see it on video? Mm-hmm. And I was just hooking on here and trying to break off. But I want to show you something. And these little tools right here have just come into, you know, popularity. But this is a little Milwaukee impact, and it fits on those little tips. So watch this. I've got it in reverse, obviously. And then I'm going to come down here, I'm going to use both hands. I'm going to wiggle onto that thing, and I'm going to keep the pressure in. And watch this. Did you see that? It will get these out of here so easy. That thing is still locked on there from tapping it in. And I bet you anything you could reuse these screws if you wanted to. But just that little rattling of that impact takes it out. And those other ones were so hard to do by hand. I was trying to get them out. I was working so hard on them. But now I've got a modified procedure basically. Alright, we're going to get this one in that bottom one. This is kind of a crazy one. It's been giving me really a lot of trouble by hand. Okay, it's 20. I try to do 20 rounds. Now the key is don't break its grip by putting this on here. You want to put this on without messing up that grip you just got with that hammer. I'm on. I'm holding really tight. See that? I mean, you don't even hear it like beep on it. You don't even hear it rattle on it. It just, such a good tool. So I'm taking these out one by one, but that's the tool that you want. And by the way, you can use this all around the house, so get it if you don't have it. A little impact gun, it's just so handy. It's breaking these things loose without stripping. I mean, just doing a great job. This is the hardest one right over here in the corner. I'm going to try one more while I'm on camera. Alright, Bit is set. Taking my impact gun, I'm going down. I'm going to get perpendicular to it and go sliding it on very easy. I don't want to break the bite that it's got. Pushing in really hard. Oh, wrong way. Let's see. That's out, right? That one's on there. That one is on there, but hey, it hadn't slipped. Going the right way. Let me tap it in again. That one's being a jerk right there. Let's try once more. I'm cleaning out the flutes on this Phillips. Make sure it's going to get a good purchase. Alright, back down in that hole. Can't see it. Let me see if I can get to adjust my light a little bit. And y'all may not be getting this very good on camera, but that 7th one, which was the lower right hand screw over there, and it for a little while, and that's when we kind of stopped videoing, and then it sheared the actual bit into that Phillips hole. So that's how strong those Phillips screws can be. They actually sheared the Phillips bit, and it was flush, and that stuff is so hard. So we now all day today had been out here with a diamond point bit, drilling in around that thing trying to get it loose, and it basically just kind of welded when it happened. It just welded itself right in that hole. So the only way we were able to get it out was take a really sharp punch, drill a little bit on some of the soft metal of the screw, because it's softer than that bit, drill a little bit, and then pound in there with that sharp punch. We eventually got that bit to pop out. It took forever, but we finally got it. Now it's just like a regular old bolt extraction. We just drilled right in the center of it and got an easy out and got it out. The head actually came off. The thing that really came through for us was these things called grabbits. You can get these at Home Depot. This little kit of 3, and it's got a number 1, a number 2, and a number 3 Phillips is what they're meant to work on. And I want to show you, if you can get right here against this white background, this one grabbed the head. This is where we were drilling around and trying to get that head loose. This one grabbed the head and broke it off because we had drilled down sort of into the shaft of the screw. Now you can see the screw here. We were pretty much on center. We're a little bit off. Then we got a little screw and went to the number 1 Phillips that's still on my angled bit here. Back up just a little bit on there on zoom. So this is my angle drill, my DeWalt. We use that grabbits, and we grabbed just that little hole right there, and we were able to put pressure on it and reverse the drill, and we got the screw out. So number 7 down, we got that. We're going to clean up around here. We're going to put the new gasket on and start building this thing back up. To show you, we just got the oil pump cover off, and as you can see, the gasket is really flat. It was in a groove that's in the block actually, or in the timing chain cover. But it's very brittle. It broke right here, stuck to it, and then that screw we were having trouble with, that last screw was this bottom one right here, and you can see where we marked up our cover just a little bit trying to get it out. But anyway, there's what the cover looks like. We're going to keep it. Alright, we're getting ready to put the new seal in. We were able to take a big flat blade screwdriver, this one right here. Had this thing forever, and I put some electrical tape so I could protect my drive shaft, and then I just got this in behind it and worked around. I went about 3 different angles, putting some pressure on it, and it just popped out. It was stuck in there pretty good. Now I've gotten just a little bit of motor oil put on this, on the outside of this, and we're going to go in this front flange faces forward, and you just put that right back in there. So we're going to go down and put this down. We're going to get it started, and then we will use the trick that was online, which was to use a 2-inch PVC coupler. Back up a little bit. Can you see that? That's a 2-inch PVC coupler, and just got it at Home Depot, and it fits perfect on this to tap it in. So I'm going to go, and you probably can't see this on camera very good, but I'm going to use a hammer, and I'm going to start tapping it to get it straight. It's a little crooked right now that I just set it in there. So I'll start on the high side, give it a little push, keep working around, come up to the top, and it's starting to sink in. You just want to get it. There you go. Alright, let's take a look at that. How's that look all the way around? This side end good too? That's the end just a little bit inside the surface. This side's just about right too. What do you think? It's got to be pretty even or it won't seal up good on the shaft, on the harmonic balancer. It doesn't really seal on the shaft, it seals on the harmonic balancer. I'm going to clean up the surface of the oil pump. Right where the gasket goes, there's a little groove. We're going to use a little bit of Vaseline to hold that new gasket in there, because the last thing you want is when you're positioning your cover on there for that to hop out of that groove and pinch it. Alright y'all, got my headlight on, just helping me out a little bit when I'm looking down in this dark area. I wanted to show you real quick what it looks like with a new crank O-ring or front seal in, and then what that oil pump looks like, you know, when it's kind of cleaned up around the groove. Okay, so there's the new crank case seal. Now that it's pressed in, and I use that 2.5 inch or 2-inch coupler, and then this is what the oil pump looks like. I mean, a lot of people have taken pictures of this and stuff, so you probably see some still pictures of it. It's planetary gears that go together. There's the O-ring groove all the way around, and then you can just see how much oil was just constantly. There's the old O-ring, I mean crank seal too, that fell in that bucket. I'm gonna take the camera on down even closer and see if I can get that screw hole. This is the one that gave us a lot of trouble right here, and get my light down here. It probably is not showing the threads very well, but that's the one. And then looking in here, you can see where oil and stuff goes around this pump. So somebody might could use this video to see what they're up against. I've noticed that this hole right here, the big one, is a threaded hole, and on your cover it's just a tube kind of that gets you to that threaded hole. On some of these they've got an idler pulley that goes right in there. My truck didn't have the idler pulley, so I didn't really think anything of it, but when I started seeing other people's, now this is a 96. Hey, I wanted to show you, I put this cardboard over here just to protect my radiator, because I banged it a few times when some tools slipped, so I've just got some cardboard there. But we're ready to go back in with that that O-ring on the oil pump cover at this point. Okay, we've got the new cover on. We got 7 new screws in there. We're gonna torque them down to 8.5 foot-pounds in a crisscross pattern. You know, it goes back together really fast. I mean, this project's not bad once you get everything torn down and get your old stuff out. You can just go right back in with the new stuff. We did end up using a little bit of Vaseline. I think we used Aquaphor actually on that O-ring to kind of just hold it in that groove. We just dabbed about 5 spots around on it, and then put the cover on. We used a small dab of blue Loctite on each screw just to help hold them in place so they wouldn't back out. But after all the trouble we had, we didn't want to put too much Loctite on them. So let me take the camera and I'll try to get a close and some light. So you can see here it's got the 7 new screws in there all the way around. Cover's been cleaned up a little bit. I didn't go crazy on it. We were trying to get this all going. I can clean up at any time on the outside of the engine. So ready to go. A little socket. Let's go over here. Back down the bottom. Now I'm going to try a little torque on it. Alright, we've got this harmonic balancer. We just polished this a little bit around here, and then we put a little bit of just regular Valvoline engine oil. Now what I'm going to do now is, I know where my key is. I can see it on the shaft down there. I've got to line it up with this keyway right here.
and you don't want to like jam it on there and hit your key and kick the key off. It'll fall inside the engine. So so you'll have to be hunting around in there for it. So what I'm gonna do, this thing is heavy, so just hold it down here and get it started on there, and then I'm gonna rotate it very slightly until I feel it line up with that keyway, and then that's how we're gonna proceed. Okay, I'm underneath the truck, and we gotta hold this engine where it can't turn. There's the front drive shaft. There's the oil pan, and behind that, I'm looking back towards the back this way. Behind that, you see this little plate. Now, this little plate right here is an inspection cover. It's just a rubber inspection cover. I'm gonna pop that off, and since I've been leaking oil for a while, this is really nasty. But you can see I'm just lifting up the bottom of it to get underneath. It's got two little hooks right there. And once you get those, you get to work it off like that, and it just pops off. Now, that fell on me and it's nasty. But anyway, so now you can see, I don't know if I can get up in here with the camera, but there's your flex plate off of your torque converter. And we're gonna get on one of those 14mm bolts in there, and that's how we're gonna hold this engine still. So I'm gonna do that. Meanwhile, my brother is gonna start turning the crank with the torque wrench to get it started. Bring it on around a little bit. Right, little hair more. Right there. Now keep coming until it hits. Keep coming. I don't know if y'all can see this. All right, now it's hitting the side. Okay. Now see if you can start tightening that bolt. Is it staying still and everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Should I get a...
All right, while it's got pressure on it, I'm gonna come up there and help you.
Move that pipe.
Yeah, I'll get the cheater bar for you. Put it on that torque wrench. You see, he's got the torque wrench right here in his hand, and he's right on that big bolt. All right, we're gonna go ahead and put some pressure on this thing. I'm gonna have to go off camera. All right, wanted to touch back with you. So we got the whole front end back on the engine here. We've got the new belts on. I went ahead and went with new belts. Whenever you do something like this, if you've had a lot of oil leaking on it, you want to replace your belts. You probably were hearing some squeaking and stuff. So we got the new twin belt on the back for the alternator. Got a new belt on the AC unit. Fans back in. I already had a new fan clutch, but this is a chance you could do a fan clutch if it's old. Put the shroud back in, and again, I kind of reversed the process of taking that shroud out. So I kind of come in at an angle from the left, wiggle it in, get it in those two shoes at the bottom, and then fold it forward. While you still got it in the bottom, you swing it forward, put your fan down in between the radiator and the shroud. If you try to come this way, you won't get it in there because you'll hit your water pump. Anyway, get all that in there, and you've already got your pulleys together. Got that done. The only thing I have left is the battery box. So we're going to put that in, and we should be ready to test fire it. Alright, we got it all buttoned up. This was a pretty interesting repair that we did here to fix these oil leaks. I'm kind of tired, it's a little bit late. We got that all, the crankshaft all torqued back down to 312 or 18 or whatever it was. Got everything put back together. I wanted to just kind of show you real quick how it all looks put back together. Obviously got the battery box back in. And the battery, we started it up. You know, everything's as you would see it when you open one of these hoods any other time. Everything started right off, meaning got the distributor back in correctly. Belts were awful quiet. These are the Toyota original belts. I got them from Toyota dealership. Love the way they sound. They're a little bit littler than the aftermarket belts I had. I had to really loosen up all of my tightening adjustments to get them to get over the pulleys and everything. It was amazing how much more I had to loosen everything up to or crank all the idlers in and everything. But got her all done. If it wasn't for that broken bolt, like I said, this probably would have been about a 6-hour job for me.
Turns out it was about 12 because I spent 6 hours getting that broken bolt off. But love it. I love being able to work on my own Land Cruiser and get stuff done a little bit cheaper than you normally would, say at a dealership. I mean, I think they quoted me $1,200 to do these three: the distributor O-ring, the crankshaft seal, and the O-ring behind the oil pump cover. So, you know, I probably spent about $200 on this and that. I had to get that torque wrench, the real big one. I had to get, you know, a couple other tools, and then all these drill bits and stuff I went and got to get that screw out. But other than that, went really well. And after I started up, I got under there with a real bright light. And I didn't look before I started it, but there was a little bit of oil right on the crack of the oil pump cover. And I don't know if that was kind of just from squashing that seal down really good. It oozed a little bit out, but I'm gonna check it tomorrow and see if it looks like it leaked any. I don't think it is. You know, fingers are crossed, everything went well. It looks like it's really down, looks nice and tight, so I think everything's gonna be good. But this was a good video. I liked showing you guys how I did it. Hopefully there's some tips and tricks in here that'll help you if you do this mod or this repair. So until next time, this is Clay with Texas Know How. I'll see y'all.